Be in the know with unlimited access to IBJ and Inside Indiana Business. Our in-depth coverage of all things business means you'll always be completely in the know. Subscribe for just $1 a week. Get started now at ibj.com/trial offer.
Off the Record with the Indiana 250 is presented by Prolific. When what worked stops working, I point purpose-driven leaders to Prolific, the growth firm. They turn plans into results with full-service marketing and strategy focused on outcomes, not vanity metrics. Head to prolifichq.com to learn more.
9 times out of 10, we don't think of ourselves as role models, but the reality is 10 times out of 10 we are. And so we've got to perform in that space. So I want to thank those who came before me. And then I also look to those who are coming up in the ranks and want to help mentor them as well.
Welcome to Off the Record, a podcast featuring leaders on IBJ Media's Indiana 250 list. I'm Nate Feltman, CEO of IBJ Media, which publishes the Indiana 250, a list of the most influential business people in Indiana. Welcome to Off the Record, a podcast featuring leaders on IBJ Media's Indiana 250 list. I'm Nate Feltman, CEO of IBJ Media, which publishes the Indiana 250, a list of the most influential business people in the state. Today, I'm fortunate to be joined by Jeff Harrison, President and CEO of Citizens Energy Group, the locally owned utility that provides natural gas, water, and wastewater services to more than 900,000 people in the Indianapolis region. Jeff's story starts in southern Indiana, where he grew up the son of a bricklayer and excelled on the basketball court for Jefferson High School. He built a strong academic record and excelled in math and science throughout high school, which prompted a guidance counselor to suggest he study engineering. Mm-hmm. Jeff followed the counselor's advice and was accepted at Rose-Hulman, where he earned a degree in electrical engineering and continued his basketball career, starting 72 games for the Fighting Engineers. I love that, by the way, that moniker, Fighting Engineers. Jeff's first job as a teenager was laying bricks alongside his dad, a job that he says involved everything except actually laying the brick, which I'm looking forward to talking to him about. That job and his time on the basketball court were among the places where Jeff learned lessons about the value of hard work and what it means to be a member of a team. He put those lessons to work right out of school at Indianapolis Power and Light, where he advanced through the ranks while earning an MBA at Indiana University. In 2003, Jeff joined Citizens Energy as Director of Market Development. He later became Vice President, Senior Vice President, and Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer before becoming President and CEO in 2015. Jeff is the first African-American to head an Indianapolis-based utility, and he takes seriously his responsibility as a role model. He supports Indy's Center for Leadership Development, which works with minority youth to set them up for academic and career success. The Center for Leadership Development is only one of the many organizations Jeff supports in the Indy community. Among the organizations he serves or has served as a board member are the Indiana Sports Corp, the Nature Conservancy, Goodwill of Central and Southern Indiana, the Indianapolis Urban League, Marian University, United Way of Central Indiana, and his alma mater, Rose-Hulman. A few months ago, Jeff became chairman of the board of the Indy Chamber, a reflection of Jeff's commitment to the overall success of the Indianapolis region. Jeff, welcome to the Indiana 250 podcast. Really appreciate you joining me today.
Nate, thank you so much for having me here. Very much appreciate it.
Well, I always like to start out at the beginning with all of my Indiana 250 guests. And at the beginning, as I described in the opening, your first job working as a bricklayer with your dad, but I mentioned maybe not actually laying the bricks. So tell us what you remember about that job from the early days.
Sure, yeah. So I did start off working with my father, who was a bricklayer when I was young, and I was his what's called his hod carrier. So I carried hod, and that means you did everything except, as you stated, lay the brick or the block that he worked with. And so as a young man, I think we started when I was around 12 years old.
Okay,
and that carried on into my high school and some into my college years. But it meant that you did everything from mixing the mortar, the mud, we would call it. And back then, we were just a small entity. My dad and I, we had didn't have a cement mixer,
okay,
those spinning cement mixers. So Instead, there was a big metal trough on the ground, and you would pour in the sand, you'd pour in the cement and water, and you would mix that by hand, and you had to get it just right. And so you had to know what that couldn't be too dry, it couldn't be too wet. So you had to know what that looked like. And so did that. Would also then keep my dad stocked up with brick or block. And so you'd keep stacks of that ready to go. You'd run back and forth. You'd get him set up, and then I'd run out, grab lunch, come back. And then while he was eating, I'd restock the mortar and all of that. But it was a good time working with my dad. It was hard work.
Yeah.
But it was a really, really neat and formative time for me as a young person.
Do you take any lessons for that process and that sounds like teamwork to make something? I always love jobs where you actually get to see the output of your work, and I'm curious, like, how that influenced your feeling about leadership or your feelings about teamwork in terms of what that meant.
Yeah, those are both in play. My father was a great leader for me, and taught me a lot. We were a team. We acted in tandem. I had to anticipate what he needed next, and then to your point. There was also some visioning that took place, and so you start with the ground. There's nothing there, and we would build, a garage or a foundation for a home, or a chimney or a fireplace in a basement. And so you couldn't see these things at first, but my dad was able to see those things, and then we were able to build that. And he was an amazing, very talented bricklayer. So those are all elements that helped me, and then through all of that, as you might imagine, just learning about hard work, putting in the time, putting in the effort.
Right.
We would always get up early. I still do that even today. Get up early, get ready for the day, and all of that helped formed who I am actually today.
Yeah. So another thing I assume was pretty formative was your athletic endeavors, and you were a basketball player both in Jeffersonville as well as in college at Rose-Hulman. Talk about, maybe some lessons or what the impact of playing athletics was for you.
Yeah, I think, again, the teamwork has to come into play there. And that was recognized by some colleagues who didn't play sports and identified just the opportunity that we have as athletes to work on teams. You've got teamwork, communication is huge, creating a plan, being part of executing that plan. And then, quite honestly, it was a lot of fun. It was, the athleticism and the exercise, physical, mental, exercise that took place was also helped me grow. And then that continued on, into college, as well, where I got to travel a bit, with the team and continued on with some of those skill sets. So, again, those also played a role. And you also learn that, you want to take that last shot. You want to be the tip of the spear, but sometimes you're not. You're the guy setting the pick, and that's the role you have to play. You have to be okay with that on the team. So again, formative years, and at Rose in particular, you learn time management, the academic rigor, and the athletic program were a little bit at odds with each other. I think both the coaching staff and the professors wanted 100% of your time, and so you had to learn how to manage that time as well. I would take tests in hotel rooms on the road, type papers on the bus while we were traveling to and from games. So again, time management was huge, and that's something I still use today.
Yeah, I'm sure. So you studied electrical engineering at Rose-Hulman. When you were studying, did you? What were your thoughts about career? Was utility industry at all even in the mix when you went to Rose-Hulman, or what were you originally thinking? If not,
that's a great question, and the answer is no, it was not.
Okay.
I was originally a computer science, electrical engineering major, and I thought I would move into programming or construction of computers and into microelectronics. But as I got into school and started programming a bit, I decided sitting in front of a computer for 8 hours a day was probably not something that I wanted to do. It just wasn't for me.
Yeah.
But then I moved into the Double E side and focused there, and learned more about power. And so that was very interesting to me. And so I went down that that path of the power industry, and then enjoyed it. And so was able to graduate and go to work for what is now AES Indiana, and spent a number of years there.
Yeah, and we're sitting in the building that AES owns. IBJ is fortunate to be a tenant of AES. So now you've been president and CEO of Citizens Energy for quite some time, and I happen to know they have a pretty unique position in our city, in our state, as a public charitable trust model. I know that because I was involved in a transaction years ago where the water and wastewater of the city of Indianapolis were transferred to Citizens. But I'm curious on your thoughts about how being structured as a public charitable trust maybe is a little bit different and unique compared to traditionally investor-owned utilities.
Yes. And we are a bit unique. I mean, again, that phrase, public charitable trust, has its own meaning. It's not a for-profit entity. It's also not a nonprofit entity. It is its own unique entity, and not that there's anything wrong with the for-profit or nonprofits. We are just a bit different. And I'd say the primary element and characteristic of the public charitable trust that is different is our ability to think really about the next generation, rather than the next quarterly earnings report. And not to say there's anything wrong with that. Again, I own stock and some AES stock as well, and so I want them thinking about those quarterly earnings. But we are able to think a bit longer term and do some things a bit differently. We have some of the characteristics of nonprofits, some of the characteristics of for-profit entities, and then we don't have some of the characteristics of either of those. So, for example, we can issue tax-exempt debt, which helps lower our utility rates for our customers. And then also we have traditional board of directors that we work with to help manage and operate our businesses. But long term, I think, again, a very unique structure as a public charitable trust. We're 139 years old this year, and very long-standing, very strong foundation here in the community.
Yeah, there's nothing like it in Indiana, right? But there, I assume there must be some models outside Indiana that are similar.
We don't think there's anything exactly like the public charitable trust that we have here today. So we haven't seen any model. Even outside of Indiana.
That's really interesting.
A few years ago, there was a utility in Pennsylvania, I believe it was Pennsylvania, who was looking at different models around the country. And one of the members of our board of trustees was requested to come in and present Citizens' business model, the public charitable trust business model, and as an example of and an option for this community to select. They ultimately took a bit of a hybrid approach again, did not select.
That's interesting.
The public charitable trust model as it stands here today at Citizens Energy Group. And so again, I'm not aware of any other entity that is quite like Citizens.
Well, we like doing unique things in Indiana.
I think so.
I
think so.
We're getting ready to host the first time in the city's history, in any city's history, the Final Four, plus Division II, Division III, and NIT basketball tournament. So we like doing unique things.
It's going to be amazing.
So as I mentioned, Citizens acquired the city of Indianapolis water and wastewater utilities back in 2011.
Yes.
And I think because I was involved in that, I recall that. One of the ideas was to take the politics out of running the city's water and wastewater utilities. But even in addition to that, and maybe even more important to that, was to save residents money by having it professionally run by a utility company, in this case Citizens, that does this for a living. I mean, and really professionally run the water and wastewater utilities. And so there was a lot at that time, the couple of years leading up to that. Of public meetings and talking about the savings opportunity. I'm curious from your standpoint now, looking back, it's been so many years, have some of those savings come to fruition from your perspective?
They have, and it was like deja vu. The public charitable trust at its origin, again, one of the drivers was to take the assets and place them outside of partisan political control, so you wouldn't oscillate the business and its operations. And so again, that played out in 2011. And one of the highlights is we did promote that we would actually be able to save our customers money over the years. And if we look back in time, we'll talk about the Dig Indy Deep Tunnel, which was a $2.4 billion project spanning over 15 years. 14 to 15 years. And we were able to save about $400,000 on that project. So there were savings for our customers on the wastewater side. Now, again, these savings are significant, but from the customer's perspective, they don't mean much. It's hard to talk about what I don't have to pay.
Right.
So we still track these significant events. And then on the water side, we were able to build a Citizens Reservoir near 116th and Oleo Road in Fishers, Indiana. And that reservoir was essentially built for pennies on the dollar. Significant savings. It is directly adjacent to Geist Reservoir and holds about half the capacity of Geist Reservoir. And we spent around that was about $25 to $30 million, a lot of money. But when compared to something like another project, maybe Mounds Reservoir, you're looking at $500 million, potentially $500 million. So savings with that reservoir. And then on our natural gas side, we've ratably invested in our utility infrastructure there and have been able to save customers significant amounts of money, as well as we've got some underground natural gas storage assets that also save our customers money. We're able to pump natural gas in when prices are low. And then when you have a blowout, for example, a polar vortex that happened here a few years ago, we're able to extract that cheaper gas and then provide that to our customers rather than taking that higher price natural gas that's on the market. And for the last year or so, for the last few months, for sure, we've had the lowest natural gas bill on average, according to the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission, of utilities, gas utilities under their auspices. So, so we strive. If we're not number one, we try to strive to be in the top five in terms of the lowest, and having the lowest utility bill for natural gas customers. So savings abound for our customers. Hard to promote that to our customers, but again, we still track it.
Well, it's hard. It's really hard because these are projections that of where they were going to go, but for the change. But it doesn't mean that there are still not increased costs, right? That you have to fund.
We do.
But you're right. I understand that it's can be a little bit it's tough for the consumer to grasp sometimes. But I know from being involved in the original project that. There's definitely savings that you all have been able to accrue that would not have been the case.
Right. For the first few years, we had to present to the IURC those savings as well. So there were literal legal proceedings where we had to present to the IURC, the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission, the amount of savings that we had year over year. I think it was for the first 3 years or so.
Makes sense.
So
I want to take a kind of bigger picture review of utilities. Urban utilities, in particular, and so when you look out into the future, 10, 20 years, what are some of the major challenges that you see urban utilities in particular that they're faced with when you look out into the future? Of course, we're going through some shocks right now in the energy power generation for a lot of reasons, global events, but many more. We talk about data centers and the power needs. But what do you see for urban utilities in particular?
The challenges abound. When you think about utilities as a consumer, they're behind the scenes. They're invisible until something goes wrong, and then we jump to the front of the screen, and that's typically not very positive when that happens. But as we move forward in time, we're looking at a number of challenges. As you say, I'll start off with data centers. They are significant energy consumers, and they're also today anyway significant water consumers as well. And so, understanding how much water they need, how much energy they need, because we will supply natural gas to, for example, AES Indiana that they will then use to generate electricity. So we're a major contributor in this arena. And so then you've got the community that also has a say as to whether or not a data center goes into their their community or not. So that challenge is abound. And then affordability, as we just talked just moments ago, prices continue to increase for everything.
Right.
Utilities are feeling those price increases as well. And so we've got to figure out how to mitigate and manage these price increases, because as consumers and consumer myself, no one wants their prices for anything to increase.
Right.
And so we understand that and take that to heart and work very hard at making sure that before we go before the IURC, the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission, that we have our prices and our cost structure appropriately structured. And then I'll also say, the utility industry is incredibly capital intensive.
Right.
As we move forward in time, we'll need to continue to invest in capital. We have a ton of main breaks, probably I'd say 70 main unplanned main breaks every single year.
Is that right?
Yeah, there are so many.
It's just aging.
It's just aging pipes and infrastructure that again, if we were to try to repair all of that at once, we'd see this huge this spike in our prices to the consumer. And so what we talk about is gradualism. We try to increase prices, at a stable rate, so we don't see these sticker shocks, price shocks. But again, also trying to maintain the integrity of your system. So those are three that I think three challenges that urban utilities will continue to face in the next 10 years or so, and they are significant challenges. As we're seeing, as you stated today, my colleagues in the electric industry are being challenged with respect to some of their pricing right now. Amazing organizations, amazing people. But the perception in the community is prices are just too high. And with everything going on, that's garnering a lot of attention.
Yeah, you spoke to what I was going to ask next, I think, is just a little bit just now. And it's definitely around pricing and cost.
Mm-hmm.
But and that question was, how do you balance long-term infrastructure investment with the short-term pressure, like you mentioned, of keeping rates low and affordable? You kind of described that already, but that's a tough balance. And part of me wonders, is there anything specifically in your industry where you see from a technology perspective or AI perspective that could help, with maybe something that changes the game a little bit in terms of the cost structure, but maybe that's coming, or maybe that's not something that's realistic. But that's a tough balance.
Yeah, it is a tough balance, and it's one we struggle with, but one that we have to struggle with in support of our customer base. But I think AI is a game changer from a number of different issues and a number of different elements with respect to how we do business. Look at something as and it's very, very important as customer service, and we're looking at using AIs to help and assist our customer service agents, so that when someone calls in, that AI agent may be able to do some filtering of calls and answering of information before it even gets to one of our more skilled agents. In fact, I called another company here recently. It was on a Sunday, and there was an AI assistant, and I'm interacting with this AI assistant on the Sunday. There was no one in the office, and so I asked this AI, "Hey, are you real?" And it said, "No, I am not real." But it was an amazing piece of technology, and that's just one example. To help us become more efficient, I think AI can help us in that respect as well. Operating our facilities, which valves to turn, how long they're on, those kinds of things. It can help our operators, and I think AI, by and large, will be an incredible assisting entity, more so than anything else. I think there will be some new things, and we'll need to innovate around that. But we're looking now at how we can take advantage of AI to help drive costs out of our business. Because again, I think most know, for water, wastewater, natural gas, and most people don't know, but steam, we provide service at cost. So there's no incentive for us to raise our rates as a public charitable trust. But we are focused on again, affordable, high quality, reliable utility services.
Well, more ahead with Jeff Harrison when we return to Off the Record podcast presented by Prolific. Stay with us. Most organizations hit a point where growth stalls. The message blends in, the site stops converting, the pipeline softens. That's when I tell leaders about Prolific, the growth firm for purpose-driven leaders. Through full-service marketing and strategy, they clarify the story, rebuild your go-to-market, and drive sales. Most importantly, Prolific holds itself accountable to the metrics that matter to you. If you're ready for your next growth stage, learn more about Prolific at prolifichq.com. Welcome back to Off the Record podcast. I'm Nate Feltman, CEO of IBJ Media, and I'm talking today with Jeff Harrison, President and CEO of Citizens Energy Group. Well, Jeff, I wanted to talk about a big project you referenced earlier, which is the Dig Indy Deep Tunnel project. I know it's been a constant over your career, but if I've got it right, it wrapped up last year after 14 years of construction. That's quite a timeline. But remind our listeners about that project and why its completion is so significant.
Absolutely. So, Dig Indy, the Dig Indy project is a project that solves a problem. And the problem here in Indianapolis, which is a world-class city, first-class city, I think we're the 16th largest city in the country. We have a problem where we had raw sewage, literally overflowing into our local area rivers and streams. And the Dig Indy project is a project that is operating at 250 feet beneath the surface.
Okay.
And in Indiana, once you go down 100 feet, you're still in dirt. Beyond that, you hit bedrock. And in Indiana, that bedrock is limestone.
Yeah.
At that 250-foot depth, then we have tunneled a little bit more than 28 miles of 20-foot diameter tunnel, all lined with a 1-foot thick concrete liner.
Wow.
And what we've done is tapped into those pipes that would otherwise allow raw sewage to flow into area rivers and streams, and we're sending that down into the deep rock tunnel. So the tunnel is essentially a large storage tank. That tunnel then will gravity flow from about 38th Street near the fairgrounds down near Southern Dunes Golf Course, and at that depth, we'll pump it up from about 275 feet, and then we'll treat that raw sewage and clean it, and then push that back into the streams. Project, again, one of the largest projects that the community has ever undertaken, as you noted, spans some 14 years, incredibly complex project, but complete now. So we were otherwise, I'd say, putting in around 5 billion gallons every year of raw sewage into our area rivers and streams. We'll clean up 97 to about 99% of that with the Dig Indy tunnel system. $2.4 billion program and project. We saved about $400 million, so we're on time, under budget. It was a great project all around. Hats off to the Citizens team and to our contractors who executed that incredible project.
Yeah. It's that one's a meaningful one. So, an infrastructure project like that, is that when you think about the duration, the lifetime, the life of a project like that, is that 100 years, or how do you think about that?
It's a long term. Yeah, it's probably a 100-year asset. Now, believe it or not, we will drop down. We'll go down in the tunnel. We'll inspect the liner on occasion as well, and there will likely be some maintenance from time to time. The first segment, was probably activated, back 2014 or so. So there's already a segment that's 10 years old. And so maintenance is occurring, and will need to occur, but it will be a long-lived asset. In addition to our 2 wastewater treatment plants, which we doubled those in size, and probably subject to check, 2 of the largest advanced wastewater treatment plants in the country, if not the world. Again, with respect to the size of the system that we have here in the state of Indiana, so significant assets. Yeah,
no, that's amazing. So, when you think about projects like that, I don't know if this is too much of a stretch, but in terms of, I know you're involved. I'm involved with you on a number of organizations. Indy Chamber being one of them, which we'll talk a little bit more about. But of course, the Indy Chamber is concerned about the long-term economic development, the the future of our region and our ability to attract talent to a region, ability to attract new business startups, new businesses, and expansions. When you think about a project like this, is this something that you think contributes to our ability to be successful in those other areas as well?
I do. I think it has a direct correlation to our success, and we'll focus on what I call one of our most unutilized assets, which are our rivers and streams that are located here in central Indiana, and they've been so dirty that we've not been able to take advantage of those underutilized assets, and so we have begun to see businesses really kind of flocking to the water.
Yeah.
And the water's it's incredibly much more cleaner than it otherwise would be. There's still more work to be done, but still incredibly clean and visually and noticeably cleaner than it has been. But we're seeing Back Nine, Frank's Paddle Sports, other businesses locating along the waterway and taking advantage of the water. In fact, I went for a canoe ride with Frank's Paddle Sports, and it's a completely different view of the city. You feel like you're in another space, but you're in a major metropolitan city. Absolutely beautiful and gorgeous, but I believe we'll continue to see development along the waterway as again we begin to clean up.
That would be wonderful.
Our rivers and streams.
There's so many cities that we all have been to, including cities in Indiana like Evansville and others that I grew up in South Bend, which has a benefit of the St. Joe River running right through it in the downtown. And there's more in the last 10 years been a lot of great development. And so there's been talk for years about how we can utilize the White River in a more significant way for economic development and opportunity. And it'd be wonderful to see that, more and more come to fruition. Yeah, it sounds like this project and others that you've been involved with, Citizens been involved in, is a big contributor to that. Yeah, we look forward to that. And I think especially as the younger generation comes of age, begins to work there, they love the environment. They're out a lot more, I think. And this is something that could be a very attractive element for young people. Again, parks, recreation spaces can be built around water. Getting back to nature is something too that I think that we're moving towards. So So I want to talk about another subject, which is just water availability. And of course, a couple of years ago, maybe it hasn't even been a couple of years, a year and a half, 2 years ago, this conversation around the LEAP district in Lebanon. I know you're not familiar with that at all, right? But we started having as a state, around that time, conversations just about, do we have enough water in the state, and or are there shortages, or are there shortages in certain parts of the state? And what should we be doing about it? And I know more recently, if I've got it right, again, you can make sure I've got it right, but Citizens is working with the City of Lebanon?
City of Lebanon,
on the water supply for LEAP. So I'm curious on that kind of, that bigger picture of water as a whole for our state and how much we have or don't have, and kind of more specifically with the LEAP project, how Citizens views that conversation.
And looking again, big picture, in the state of Indiana, we have a lot of water. We're very fortunate to have, again, a natural resource that we cannot recreate. You either have it or you don't. But if you look at it, the state's a bit stratified. Towards the top of the state, Great Lakes reside. You've got plenty of water towards the top of the state. We also have really good sources of water here in the central part of the state. As you begin to head a little bit south, the water sources begin to wane a little bit. But then you hit the mighty Ohio River, and then you've got access to that. So I think I'd say in large part, we have enough water in the state. And in certain instances, for example, where significant development wants to take place, where the LEAP district is in Lebanon, Indiana, they don't have enough water. And so we need to negotiate and collaborate and help each other. And that's what the City of Lebanon and working with Mayor Gentry and I had conversations, and so we're doing that now. And so we're looking at taking Again, we have a lot of water here at Citizens. We have 75% of our water comes from surface water, from surface streams. And then with those surface streams, we have reservoirs that are attached with those, so that when the natural flow begins to wane, we can supplement that flow, bring it back up with our reservoirs. And so we've got about 25% of our water here in central Indiana comes from wells. And so we use those combinations, and we look at this from a systems approach. So we don't look at just Eagle Creek and think, okay, Eagle Creek serves the west side. We don't look at Morse, okay, Morse serves. We look at it as a system because there could be an issue with Eagle Creek Reservoir. Maybe a tanker, as a horrible example, falls in, and we may have to shut down that for a bit while it cleans itself up, and we clean that up. And so we'd utilize the rest of the system to water supply to supply the whole system with water. But specifically with the LEAP district and Lebanon Utilities, we're looking then now at providing what's called a unit of measuring water is millions of gallons per day, MGD. And we're looking at providing 25 MGD to on a wholesale level to the city of Lebanon. And they will be on a wholesale level, they'll be, I believe, our 9th wholesale customer. So this is something that we've done before and have been doing. This is a new wholesale customer. Lebanon then will retail that water to the LEAP district, primarily Eli Lilly and Company, an amazing organization here. Again, huge investment, jobs, tax base, just and the health products they create, and Meta. They'll provide on a retail basis that water to them. To help you understand the order of magnitude, the city of Lebanon is around about 5 MGD on their peak day. Think about a peak day. It's August. It's been hot for 4 to 6 weeks, no rain. 5 MGD. We're providing with 25 MGD.
Wow.
On that same day for Citizens, our peak demand 240 MGD.
Okay.
So we're the largest system in the state, and because of that, we do a number of things to make sure that we're ready, and that includes water supply planning. We are looking out right now, and we refresh this every single year. We have a 50-year water supply plan, so we know where our next drop of water is coming from based on load growth and some reserve margin. 50 years into the future.
Wow. And
we're doing this because we have to. We want to make sure, again, that we are not the bottleneck for growth that takes place here, economic growth that takes place here in the central part of the state. So a lot of planning, a lot of work, a lot of due diligence by the Citizens team to make sure, again, all of our utilities, water, wastewater, natural gas, steam, chilled water, are prepared and ready to go. But in this case with LEAP, a significant project, we'll provide them with that 25 MGD in about 2031. So another long-term project. It'll take us a while to build this infrastructure.
And a couple of years ago, there was all this concern from the West Lafayette community. They thought they were going to be pulling water, I guess, out of the Wabash.
The White River. Or maybe it was the Wabash.
And they were, citizens, legislators get all concerned that you're taking our resources to use somewhere else. But when you think about that kind of water supply, where citizens will get that kind of water, how should we be thinking where that water is coming from? The additional capacity to provide the 25 MGD.
It's a great question, and we still have capacity here. Central Indiana is again, we're very fortunate to have the water resources that we do. And we see a tremendous amount of water that exists here in central Indiana. We're monitoring it, we're watching it, and we're planning for it, again, with that 50-year water supply plan. And what we've done is we've rank ordered, so dollars per MGD. So the lowest cost resource will be the very first resource that we pull when the community says that they need more water. And so I think from a water supply plan standpoint, here in central Indiana, it's different in other communities, but here in central Indiana, we've got a lot of capacity. We haven't even captured the water on the south side of the community yet, and long term, there's potential for a plant to be constructed there. As water moves from the north to the south, the streams are gaining. They gain more water, and we take a bit out for use here. Some of it goes back again, as we talked about, through the wastewater treatment plant process, but then we can pick that water back up on the south side if we had to. And in the future, that's an untapped resource that we have today. And our goal, when we think about our long-term water supply planning, is to be drought-proof. We want to make sure that we're drought. Now, we're not there yet, but there have been significant steps taken since we acquired the utility in 2011 to today and in 2026, including Citizens Reservoir, that are helping us get to that state of being drought-proof, and then also being able to sustain all of this economic growth that's taking place, including the growth in the LEAP district.
Great. Well, I want to switch gears to your leadership at the Indy Chamber. As I mentioned, you became chairman recently, and I know the chamber is as being with you on the executive committee there. That we all in the chamber is very passionate about the success of our city, our region. Talk about what it means for you to be the next leader of the Indy Chamber, and what maybe, if there are any early focuses of what you'd like to accomplish in the next couple of years in that role.
Absolutely. Well, again, very honored to serve and really serve alongside other intellect here in the community. And I wish that many in the community could see our board meetings and what we focus on to help them understand how sincere the leadership in this community is about holding this community to the highest level of standards and making sure that we all succeed. But I think the Indy Chamber plays a critical role in economic development, and alongside other organizations, and the intellect and talent, the leaders at the Indy Chamber and I will continue to do exactly that. We're in this very unique space. We've talked about data centers. We've talked about some other manufacturing, Eli Lilly and others that are looking to develop. That I think will continue for a while, and so I think there will be some challenges that result as those elements begin to inject themselves into our communities. And so I think the Indy Chamber plays a critical role in working with government, working with the business community, in helping us all navigate how again we will become successful as we move forward in time. And I'm excited to be a part of that. And again, very honored to chair.
Well, we're glad you do. You take on a lot, so we're glad that you're willing to do so.
Well, thank you.
I've been really impressed in my time with the Indy Chamber with how they don't just look at one specific area, but they take a global view of how we're doing as a region, including issues like homelessness, including issues like the highway rethink 6570. And the list keeps going. Which I just think is a wonderful to have an organization that really cares, like you said, a lot about, and its members all care just a lot about the healthiness, overall health of our region. So it's been a pleasure for me to work with you and the others on the board and the companies involved to make sure we're doing the best we possibly can on that front.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Those are a few topics we talk about, and again, all focused at improving our community, and really smart individuals who are able to help speak into these areas. Just again, I very, very much appreciate yours and others' participation in those conversations.
Yeah. Well, as I mentioned, you've got a great track record of giving back. In addition to the chamber, you're serving on a number of high profile boards. And when I look at the list, I'm like, holy cow! Do you have time to work at Citizens Energy? Because it's a long list. I only named about 7 or 8 of them, but I think we can quadruple that. That number. Yeah. But as you have looked back and currently are involved in a number of organizations, can you tell us maybe about 1 or 2 that you really that stand out as I know it's hard to pick a favorite child, but that maybe stand out and why you decided to say yes?
Yeah, and I'll address the number. As a young person, there were so many people, so many individuals who poured their time, energy, effort, their talent into me personally to help me grow. And as a young person, you don't always realize that until you're older. And what that does is compels me to give back. And so that's a driving force behind my participation in on community boards and giving back into the community. And on that note, Rose Holman is one that I'll highlight. I'm on the Rose Holman board. Rose-Hulman, an incredible STEM school, the number one engineering school in the nation, undergraduate, U.S. News and World Report, 27 years in a row, I believe. Just doing some really neat things there. They also helped me financially. They helped me academically. They changed my stars. We were low to lower class to lower middle class when I was younger, and Rose-Hulman just did a lot for me, and so I happy to give back in a number of different ways. And then United Way is another board that I think also is a way for me to give back to the community, and so work alongside a number of great individuals there. Our CEO Fred Payne as well, but those are two, and all the boards are, and even the boards that I don't sit on. There's just so many organizations here in the central part of the state that just do some amazing things. But happy to participate, and wish I could join even more boards. But I am at capacity.
We're announcing you're officially at capacity, at least for 2026.
That's exactly that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Well, I want to ask you about you obviously. I mentioned earlier you've broken barriers in the utility industry, certainly in our state. As an African American in engineering and president of a major utility, you've broken down those barriers over the course of your career. I would love to hear your insights about, number one, like how difficult that has been, and how you maybe use your experiences to encourage other minority. I know we talked about Center for Leadership Development. Dennis Bland and his organization do an amazing job. I've been close to Dennis for a long time. But maybe talk about breaking down barriers and what you do to encourage others to do the same.
Yeah, it's been an interesting journey for sure. Even at Rose-Hulman, I went to Rose-Hulman when it was all male, and across all four grades, there were I believe 5 African American students there, and so it was just a different environment, a different struggle, a different challenge. There were societal challenges in a number of different places, including Terre Haute. There were a number of racial challenges that were endured, and as you begin to ascend and move into the business environment, there were challenges there as well. And I say, again, being a young person, young Black man, perseverance again is something that paid dividends for me. You just got to work through those issues, learn where to go, where not to go, learn how to navigate, but while at the same time excelling. You set the bar as high as anyone else does. In fact, you may even set it higher because you have to. And so grew up with all of those in mind. And it paid off, along with just general leadership skills, treating people the right way, getting work done, being there, thinking innovatively and strategically, and then moving through the ranks. But was very fortunate as well to have some great mentors. I can't understand just the benefits of having good mentors would help me think through some of these issues. And then Nate, there are those who also preceded me, Bill Mays, and others who were business leaders who were again individuals that I could look to as examples on how to do things. And then I've heard it in return. There are young people. I'll get an email every now and then from a parent of a minority young person who at Junior Achievements BizTown, they will send me a note. My son or daughter was the CEO of Citizens Energy Group today, and I wanted to thank you for being a role model. So, 9 times out of 10, we don't think of ourselves as role models, but the reality is 10 times out of 10 we are. And so we've got to perform in that space. So I want to thank those who came before me, and then I also look to those who are coming up in the ranks and want to help mentor them as well. And so I'll meet with individuals around the city and just share with them my story. There is no secret sauce. It's hard work, and it's different for everyone. So really try to lead in that manner.
Yeah. If you were to, that you mentioned a guy like Bill Mays, who I got to know as well. He was one of the first appointees to the Indiana Economic Development Corporation board when I was serving with Governor Daniels way back. Wonderful, wonderful, man. Are there other mentors in your life? I know we've talked about your dad. I'm
Yes.
sure that he was, but I'm curious, like when you think of a few people that really had a huge impact on you and your ability to be successful, who comes to mind?
Yeah, there were probably too many to mention, but my athletic coaches were huge mentors. My high school basketball coach, Coach George Marshall, God rest his soul, was one who would sit. We'd practice on the court, and then we'd go into the locker room. He'd sit us down on the bench, and then he'd teach to us, and he'd say, "Hey, when you go home tonight, thank your mother for dinner. She doesn't have to do that for you. You make sure you thank your mother for dinner." And it's like, that's a good point. And so just things like that. So my college coach, John Munchner, was another mentor for me. Just taught me a number of things. Max Gibson, business leader in Terre Haute, who passed away here as well, was another mentor. But each of these mentors just provided just some lifelong lessons to me. Still remember them today, and appreciate every one of them. Gwen Mosier, my high school guidance counselor, again, changed my stars. But again, just some really neat individuals who, again, took time out of their everyday life to pour into someone like me, and I'm just so appreciative of that. And again, I have to pay that forward. But a number of mentors, and I can't underestimate the value of a mentor.
Yeah. Of course, I couldn't agree more. Well, Jeff, we've made it to Off the Record we call Speed Round.
All right.
Where we give you a series of questions and you give us a short answer, but you can extend it if you need to.
Okay, got it.
But we're ready to go. So your favorite movie?
Favorite movie? Let's go with something recent. I'm a sci-fi geek, as you might imagine. Let's go with Dune.
Dune. All right.
I love it.
Favorite place to vacation?
Favorite place to vacation? It's been a few years now. But I love Paris. I love the people. I love the food. I love the fashion. I love that you can drink wine all day long.
It's plentiful.
It's plentiful. It's plentiful. With every meal, with every course.
Absolutely. Your favorite musical artist?
Favorite musical artist? I'll go with a classic. Let's go with Michael Jackson.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice. Yeah, you must be a kid of the 80s.
I am.
Like me. Like me.
Exactly right.
What's the first thing you do in the morning?
First thing I do in the morning, something small and simple. I stretch, and hydrate.
Nice.
And hydrate.
I should take a lesson from you on that. Title of the last book you read?
The last book I read, it's utility related, Evicted, understanding the other side of from our customers. So Evicted is the book.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah.
What food can you not live without?
Well, that one's easy. Pizza. I'm a pizza lover.
I had that last night, so I can agree with you.
So did I.
You did?
I did.
Favorite sports team?
Favorite sports team? I'm a hometown team guy, so I'll go with the Colts, the Pacers, the Fever. The Fever are amazing, but I'll go with our hometown teams.
Nice. Best advice you ever received?
The best advice I've ever received is to embrace change because it is the only constant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Agreed. Advice for a young person who wants to become a leader, wants to become the next Jeff Harrison.
Great. I would say, maintain high levels of self-awareness, and understand those weaknesses, and then, embrace them. You've got to embrace them, work on them, improve them. If you can't do it, get help, but maintain high levels of self-awareness.
Yeah. That's good advice.
Yeah.
Well, Jeff, I can't thank you enough for joining me on the Indiana 250 podcast. Our city, our state are fortunate to have you doing the work that you do,
so much.
and
the
work that you do outside of your day job and volunteering on so many different fronts and so many different organizations.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, and thanks for spending time with us.
Thanks for having me here again, Nate. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
To learn more about other leaders on IBJ Media's Indiana 250 list, go to indiana250.com and look for a Page 2 feature each week in IBJ. We'll be back with the new Indiana 250 off-the-record conversation soon.
Stay ahead with Inside Indiana Business Radio on Demand, your go-to source for the latest business news across the Hoosier State. Join hosts Gary Dick and Alex Brown every weekday morning and afternoon for concise updates on Indiana's top business stories. Subscribe now on your favorite podcast app or listen at ibjpodcasts.com.
Do you want to know what really drives change in Indiana? You won't find it in sound bites, you'll find it in stories. Stories from CEOs, lawyers, coaches, entrepreneurs, and community advocates. That's the IBJ Media Podcast Network. Insightful, local, impactful. Find all of our shows by searching IBJ Media in your podcast app or visit ibjpodcast.com.